Good morning, City of Boise Mayor's Office.
Hi, I've called several times and nobody hardly ever answers the phone anymore. I'm a person that's living in an apartment here in Boise, and the Boise City Hall and the police department participated in that. And I'm being harassed, and I had been being harassed. And I've documented that most of the places where people who live in vehicles, trailers, etc., parking have construction.
I'm sorry, but the phone is cutting in and out.
I have documented, can you hear that?
Yes, I can.
Okay, that most of the places where the homeless people who are living in vehicles, trailers, campers, etc., have parked for years, have construction going on, including 2 of the places have demolition going on. And then there's building going on right next to the day shelter, which is interrupting parking sometimes. And I do not think that's a coincidence. And it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to allow that and not give, say, we're going to be doing all this stuff, here's alternative places to park. It doesn't make any sense to begin with to not have any kind of protection, especially for women, from the misogynistic bullying network of men who live in vehicles, trailers, campers, and stuff, who every time I park somewhere, I sleep in my car in the wintertime to protect myself because the shelters are full of infectious diseases and I have immune system problems. Plus they're also full of sociopaths and the staff allows them to prey upon people and stuff. And so I sleep in my car in the wintertime to protect myself, but these men that sleep in their cars go to the shelter in the winter, and then in the spring when it warms up, they come out and they run me off from where I park, and they harass me, and they stalk me, and the Boise Police Department, by the way, also stalks me and harasses me with their vehicles. And I don't understand a city that's run this way. I just don't understand it. So I've documented a lot of stuff, and I'm really, really pissed off because I'm a retired RN, and when I was at the Interfaith Sanctuary, I was like, look, you need to get these people to wash their hands. And I found them free signs that they refused to order to put up in the bathrooms. And I kept saying, you've got the elderly and disabled people who are on meds that depress their immune system, and others with immune system problems, and these young people and these kids that come through the adult area, even though they're on the other side, and vaccines that are contagious, by the way, that people with immune system problems aren't supposed to have, but the live viruses are contagious. And the poor diet and the constant stress and the lack of any ability to sleep in the shelter because of the meth heads and the drunks and stuff, just being allowed to do what they want. And no, there's no supervision. And a lot of people won't take showers at all because they're bullied in the shower room by the sociopaths. And I
have you made these concerns known to Interfaith Sanctuary?
Well, for God's sakes, I just told you I did. And not only that, but I sent emails. I sent emails to Dan Alt over and over again. And Dan Alt and Tim Flaherty were co-serial bullies in the shelter, and they harassed me. And there were arrangements made to have my property stolen. And all kinds, is trauma when you're in a homeless shelter, especially if you're being gangstalked and targeted by people. And then there's men that come up and put their hands on on women, and I would be standing in front of the staff, and I would say, do not put your hands on me, keep your hands off me. Staff didn't say, why are you putting your hands on people? Same thing at the downtown library, it went on there as well. And so I'm really, really pissed off because the homeless population has been packed into a sardine can, and now there's absolutely no way that you can keep them from getting COVID-19 if it ends up, in the population. Absolutely no way. And I can tell you right now that you're not going to separate, etc., because this stuff should have been happening for influenza, etc. You can't pack people in that situation, feed them crap food, stress them constantly, keep them from sleeping, and not expect them to die. So I figured out that FEMA has planned this homeless system to kill people, because it doesn't make any sense that they did it for any other reason.
Okay, so that's a lot of generalizations, and I'm happy to listen to you and take some notes. What would you like the outcome of this phone call to be?
I would like something to, like the people that took over the area where I park at night have been parked there. The one guy's been parked there for 5 days, and you can't park next to them. They make a lot of noise. He gets out this barbecue cooker, and he makes a smoke that comes in my car, and I get sick. And then there's another guy that's been parking there with him that has people, I'm pretty sure that, there's drugs going on because all these people show up and get in the car with them, and they do the meth talk, the blah, 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 blah crap, and they never show up.
What I'm taking out of this is increased parking enforcement in that area.
Yeah, that would be nice, but, the police actually know because they're involved in the harassment. And don't tell me they're not, because I've got documentation of it. And then the other thing is that I would like something to happen, and I'm very, very familiar with what's happening in other countries, etc. I've been following the story, and I've watched half of that video that HUD put on, and so far it's crap. Just crap. But they need to have a separate place for the people that get the virus to go. And how are you going to have in a situation where all those people are packed in there together? If one person gets it, how is everybody in there not going to be exposed to it? And so now they're going to all need quarantined. And what are you going to do with the people that live in vehicles that get sick? Because I have things that I do to protect myself daily, but I live in a vehicle. I was forced to do that. And so I have to go to public places. And I just do what I know as an RN that protected patients from infection for decades. I just do the things that I know to do. And then I have barriers. I separate myself. Like I have to go to a library. I will not go to the downtown library. But I go to another library, a couple other libraries, and I only use a study room to have a barrier. And I spray the table down with alcohol. And
Well, Celia, it sounds like in those instances you are doing everything correctly to protect yourself, wiping down things, washing
I know that I'm doing everything correctly, but what I'm saying is that I should not have been put in this situation to begin with.
Okay. Well,
and no one's ever addressed it.
No one ever puts anyone in situations. It's all about the decisions we make. So I encourage you, if you ever see anything such as drugs, you also want to call the Boise Police Department.
The Boise Police Department has been told about stuff for years, and they don't do anything about it. In fact, I
do know that you're unwilling to take services offered by the Boise Police Department. So if you're not willing to work with them, then
I'm willing to take services. What are you talking about?
You've called before with similar complaints, and we've connected you with the Boise Police Department. And so if you're not willing to work with them, then there can be no action taken.
I'm not willing to work with them. What are you talking about? Talk about generalizations. What in the world are you even talking about? I want to talk to your supervisor.
My supervisor is not in at the moment.
Well, then you guys can get ready for an avalanche of documentation to be posted on the internet.
That's fine, and I don't respond to threats. So thank you for taking the time, and hope you have a good day. Thank you.
Wow.
Governor Little's office, how can I help you?
Hi, I need to talk to somebody that's dealing with the COVID-19 emergency.
Certainly. Actually, they are all in meetings right now, and they're busy, but if you have any concerns, you're welcome to talk to me about them.
What is your position?
I'm an intern.
Okay, because I just talked to somebody here in Boise at the mayor's office, and her responses were inappropriate to me, and she was kind of an airhead.
Hold on. I'm very sorry. I couldn't hear what you said. You seem to have cut off.
I said I just talked to a staffer at the office of the mayor in Boise. Her responses were inappropriate. She was this big snot, and you know, I'm very upset. I'm really pissed off about a lot of things that have gone on for years, but I am a retired nurse who I ended up having to go on disability. I'm living on Social Security disability. I was in the shelter here, and I said, look, you're going to have a horrible outbreak. And by the way, I had written an article that there was going to be an outbreak at a homeless shelter in another state, and it happened. And I said, look, people need to wash their hands. Everybody's packed together too closely. They need to stop hanging their clothes on other people's beds and, you know, putting their hands on people and stuff. And, you know, they don't even have enough laundry service for people to keep their clothes clean here. So nobody cared. Nobody listened. I even found a place for them to get free hand washing signs, and they refused to even, you know, ask for them. And, of course, treated me like garbage as per usual, because the shelter was run by two serial co-bullies. And so I'm now really quite livid. I got an apartment finally. I was gangstalked out of the apartment. There was a drug ring in the apartment, and on and on and on. And Boise Police Department doesn't do their job, and nobody else does either. None of the agencies involved did their jobs because we're in Idaho. So I am living in a minivan. I have immune system problems, and I do a lot of things to try and, you know, and prevent myself from catching stuff all the time because of that, and the fact that because I live in a minivan, I use public bathrooms, I go into libraries and stuff like that, and I spray the tables down to disinfect them and all of that kind of thing. And I use paper towels as barriers and stuff. And so now I listened to half of HUD's presentation for states to deal with homeless shelters. And so far, the first half is crap, by the way. And I'm at this point thinking that FEMA must have designed the homeless shelters to kill people off, because no moral, intelligent person who has empathy for people would have done what is going on here in Boise, which is they take the elderly and disabled. And by the way, there's a lot of elderly and disabled people in homeless shelters, which, you know, what does that say about a country to begin with? And then this shelter here has families. So there's little kids, and they are in a separate kind of side, but they do come into the same area as everybody else. And of course, little kids are going to put their hands all over people and all kinds of stuff. And so, and plus, there's the vaccines, which are, by the way, contagious if it's a live virus, like, you know, with influenza vaccinations, and people with immune system problems aren't supposed to get vaccines, and so now you're exposed to it. And then there's, you know, homeless people eat a very poor diet. You're not allowed to sleep because the dorm is filled with people on drugs that are drunk and stuff. They can't behave and they can't shut up. and the staff doesn't do anything about it. So you have everything that can depress an immune system, including constant trauma over and over and over. And there's a very large subset of sociopaths in Boise that are in the shelter. Mm-hmm. And they prey upon people, and they're allowed to do that. And so it is a nightmare waiting to happen because people are packed in there like sardines, and the viruses go one after another in that shelter. I nearly died the first year I was there. I was treated like crap trying to get health care. And at this point, I'm just really, really pissed off because what are they going to do? If they have one person that shows up in the shelter who's got COVID-19, everybody else that's in there is going to be exposed, and they're going to need to quarantine all those people. How in the hell are they going to manage that? Where are they going to put a bunch of homeless people who have the virus? And then there's all of the people who live in vehicles like me. You know, what's going to happen when people who live in vehicles, because there's no housing, and that was done intentionally as well. The people that live in vehicles, you get sick, they're not going to want you to go in a store, you know, you have to go get food, you have to get water, you have to go to the bathroom, you have to throw your garbage away and stuff like that. And so I've asked and been treated like crap in this city so long. And I've been being harassed, including by the Boise Police Department, and I have videos of that, by the way. And I've been holding some stuff back, waiting for somebody to do what they're supposed to do, and nobody in this state is ever going to do what they're supposed to do. So I'm going to be posting like mad. And I know a lot about the virus, by the way, and because I've been keeping up on it and reading research papers and stuff. And I can tell you that it's in this state. It may be as bad as Washington at this point, but because Washington gets a lot more coastal, you know, traffic, et cetera, and they have a big airport, of course, you know, they got exposed to it, but it's definitely heading this way. And the infrastructure here is designed very poorly.
Yeah, I definitely understand your concerns. I want to assure you that the governor is aware of what's happening, and they're actually in the middle of a lot of meetings. I know they're meeting later this afternoon to try and decide, you know, how to approach all of the different aspects well. But I can certainly pass on your specific concerns about the homeless population to him.
Well, they just bully the homeless here. They have the police act like, basically I consider the Boise Police Department to be domestic terrorists. I'm not committing crimes. I'm 64 years old. I'm a retired nurse. And why are they stalking and harassing me? It doesn't even make any sense other than the fact that I write about stuff and make videos. That's probably got a lot to do with it. But
well, I'm very sorry that that's your experience.
They're harassing the people that park on the streets.
Oh, sure.
The places where people park, they're doing construction, which is a tactic that's used for harassment. And two of the places they're actually doing demolition. So that's got chaos going on. That's got people concentrating, and that's causing problems because there's a lot of drunks and people on drugs and sociopaths that are sleeping in cars and stuff. And then they prey upon other people and harass them. Like, I sleep in my car in the freezing cold in the wintertime to protect myself from infections and abuse. Okay? And so, in the spring, they stay in the shelter because they're pussy boys, I guess. And then they come out in the spring, and then they start harassing me and running me off from where I park. And that's allowed because there's no laws against harassment in Idaho.
Sure. Yeah, well, I'm not entirely familiar with homelessness in that area. That's not my area of expertise, but I can certainly pass those concerns on to him, as well as your concerns with the Boise Police Department as well.
Okay, well, I'll start emailing videos.
Okay, yeah, you're definitely allowed to do that for sure.
Okay, well, thank you.
I'm very sorry that this is your experience. Yep, you have a good day.
You too, thanks, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I have a call. Of course, that's probably where I'm going to end up.
Boise Police Records Department,
Yeah.
This is Jolene. How may I help you?
I was trying to avoid the records department. But
How can I
all
help you?
lead to the records department.
Do you need non-emergency dispatch?
No, I'm trying to get to internal affairs.
Oh, okay. Let me get back to you there. Hold on. Let's see. All right, hold on one moment.
City of Boise Arts and History Department and Golerton Boise, a Treasure Valley music.
Boise Police Internal Affairs.
Hi, my name is Celia Harrison, and in the past I've called and supposedly filed a report with you, and of course I never heard anything back, which is the Boise way. And so I'm calling again, and I'm telling you that there's still police harassment going on, police not doing their jobs, etc. And that in a public records request, I got a completely false report that's in my record that makes it look like I'm crazy, completely false about an incident that never happened.
Okay.
And that's the kind of stuff that's been going on for a long time.
Well, and I think I'm familiar with you, and I know that we have opened some investigations and looked into your concerns.
Well, you may have, but nobody ever tells me anything about it, contacts me again, gives me any reports, blah, 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 nothing.
Well, we don't release our internal reports here. You're welcome to make public records requests for any of the other reports that you make.
I guess when we go to court, you're going to have to release the documentation now, aren't you?
Well, I guess that would be for a judge.
Yeah, because that report is slander and it's harming me. I mean, I can't. Apparently, the stuff that's not true in it has been given to City Hall, etc. I just had a conversation with one of the mayor's staff, a little airheaded girl who doesn't know what the hell she's talking about, who said, well, we can't help you because you refuse the police department services. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Now, they do keep transferring me to some social worker. Social workers are utterly useless. They don't do anything, okay? And they certainly are not police officers that if you're having problems with crimes and harassment and stalking and stuff, that would be police work, you know? And just in case nobody understands that, that would be police work. And so I've been slandered over and over again in this city. And nobody's doing what they're supposed to do. And so I've got a lot of video evidence of the stuff that goes on. You're going to get a tsunami of that stuff on the internet because I've had it.
Okay. Well, if you'd like to send an email to us and let us know where that information can be obtained, we can look at that.
I've already posted quite a bit in the past, but I've been holding back, some of the more egregious things. There's some things that might out somebody or whatever. And right now, what I'm really pissed off about is that I tried to do something about the horrible conditions in the Interfaith Sanctuary. Mm-hmm. And now we've got COVID-19. I couldn't even get them to do anything about hand washing, that stuff should have been going on all along. And I, at this point, have decided that FEMA's design of the homeless shelters was done to intentionally kill people off. Because if you were a moral, intelligent, person that had any kind of empathy or responsibility to the public, you wouldn't have designed it in a way that kills people. So, it's really, really hard to fathom this problem. By the way, I am a retired critical care nurse, and I was a house supervisor of a hospital. And so this stuff is mind-boggling to me. And I have immune system problems. I was in that shelter. I almost died the first winter I was there. I now live in a car because I had an apartment that I was run out of by gangstalking, and the police department didn't do anything about it. And, neither did all of the agencies that were responsible for doing something about those kind of problems. Nobody ever does anything they're supposed to do in this city.
Well, and I understand that you have made your concerns about the police gangstalking. I know that that's one of the concerns that you've reported before.
Yeah, it's been going on a long time, and I have new video. And here's another thing that's going on. The places where the people that live in vehicles, cars, motorhomes, etc., have construction going on simultaneously. That is not an accident. And 2 of the spots have demolition going on. That's not an accident. So they are concentrating that group of people into one area. I sleep in my car in the winter to protect myself from infectious disease and from the sociopaths in the shelter, because they're just allowed to harm people and traumatize people, and so does the staff. And so when it starts to warm up, the sociopaths that live in vehicles start streaming out of the shelter and then run me off from where I'm parked and harass me in many different ways. And apparently harassment is legal in Idaho, which is insane. I can't believe that. And apparently men putting their hands on women is also. And so they are causing all kinds of problems. And I have this situation where cop cars will just pull up next to where I'm parked at night. They sit there menacing. And then when I cover my windows, they leave. That's been going on for a long time. It went on this last one, and then it went on the winter before that. Can you explain that to me?
No, I can't. But I can tell you, though, if you feel like somebody is harming you, like you were saying, if there's somebody who's following you or putting their hands on you or anything like that, and that's occurring, then you need to call the dispatch center.
Yeah, they don't
come out and respond.
I was parked where I normally park.
We don't deal with crime reports here in our office.
Yeah, but where I was parked, I had 2 motorhomes pull in behind me, start slamming crap around and making all kinds of noise and crap. And so I get out of my car in my pajamas, and I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? You know, don't you have any common courtesy? What in the world are you doing? And they were assholes, because Boise is made of assholes. So I call the police. The cop comes and tells me that there's no problem because they were legally parked. All that stuff was fine. They were legally parked. So the next morning I showed up and played really loud music, and it was okay because I was legally parked. That's what my rationale was. And so I have a video of quite a bit of that. I have, a couple years worth of videos. And I've been waiting for someone to do something or talk to me about it and stop treating me like I'm crazy, because I'm not. And
who's the social worker they transferred you to? Who is that?
What's that?
You said that they had transferred you to a social worker. Who's that?
The one that works for the police department, whatever her name is.
Oh, Penelope Hansen?
Yeah, they're like, have you talked to, when I call in, have you talked to Penelope lately? And I've told them, do not transfer me to a damn social worker. I'm a retired nurse. I know they don't do anything. Do not, and I've told her, why am I now talking to you? What are you going to do about these things? Because basically what the theory is that I'm imagining it. And I imagine so well that I'm able to project my imagination onto videos. And so now they have gotten me super pissed off. Super pissed off. And when that happens, I start writing and making videos. And this stuff is going to scorch some asses.
Well, that's certainly within your right to make.
And then we're going to end up in a courtroom because I can't believe what goes on. But there's no way that they're going to do what they should do with the homeless people here. There's no way they're going to do that.
Well, and unfortunately, that's not the purview of the Office of Internal Affairs.
I know, but that's one of the main things I'm pissed off about. Because I told them, you're going to eventually have an outbreak here and people are going to die. But that's what they want. Okay, well, thank you.
Well, I will make note that you called, Celia, and I will forward your concerns up the chain of command, okay?
Well, we'll see. What should have happened a long time ago is I should have had a meeting with the chief of police. But apparently the chiefs of police and the chiefs of the fire departments are all corrupt to begin with. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
You have reached Amanda in the office of the City Council. I'm unable to come to the phone right now. Please leave me a message and I'll return your call upon my return. Thank you.
Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Hello, this is Celia Harrison. I have been calling the mayor's office a lot, and all I can do is leave a message because no one ever answers the damn phone. And I just had a really inappropriate response, well, several inappropriate responses from some dingbat little girl who has a snotty attitude. And so I'm going to be posting that conversation on the internet, and I have a shitload of evidence of all of the stuff that I talk about. And she implied a couple of things. She's not smart enough to get in an argument with me, by the way. And since Boise can't do what it's supposed to do ever, and they put a lot of people in danger, I tried to get them to do something about the Interfaith Sanctuary and infectious diseases, and I'm really pissed off at this point in time. And I'm living in a car being harassed by a network of men who are the biggest assholes I've ever seen in my life. And the Boise Police Department also harasses me. And there's construction going on in all the places where people who live in vehicles park, including demolition in 2 of the spots, but there's no alternatives given. There's no assistance. There's no place for women to park at night that's safe. And so you people deserve what I'm going to be posting online. Bye-bye now.